Good afternoon, everyone. Thanks for coming and checking out the video. In today's video, we're going to take a look at Cardano against the USD pair, against Bitcoin, and also take a look at the Bitcoin dominance to see if we can find any clues on what is going to happen next for Cardano in the macro picture. All right, so let's start out with Cardano on the weekly time frame. If you guys like today's video, make sure you hit that like button for the algorithm. That really helps the channel. All right, so let's look at the weekly chart for Cardano and compare it to a different time in Cardano. Now, let's first just start with the basic macro structure. All right, so as of right now, we obviously know we had a big dip yesterday, which has made the current weekly candle obviously a pretty bearish candle to start out the week. Now, it is Thursday, right? So this could obviously change by obviously Sunday's close, which is the weekly close. Now, if you just look at the basic overall macro structure, we did wick below our previous high weekly close, but we actually came below and we actually came back up, and as of right now are holding that as support. So this week, as long as we can hold that previous weekly high as support, which was right about $2.30, I do think that we still in the macro picture are still looking bullish. And it's very similar to this level down here that we're going to look at in just a second. Also, right, Cardano on this run has tended to really hold both the 20 and 30 SMAs here on its way up in this bull run, right? So you can see here on our first initial pump, we came back down and tested both of these moving averages before continuing up, right? Obviously continued, and now recently we just came back down and tested these levels again. So overall, in the whole macro sense, as long as we hold both our 20 and 30 SMAs, I'm going to remain obviously cautionably optimistic here for Cardano. Now, there's a couple different bearish scenarios that Cardano could play out here. If Cardano does close the week below the previous highs, obviously then we would be looking a little bit sketchy here for Cardano going into the next couple weeks. But as of right now, everything is okay, but watch for a weekly close below this weekly close. Now, if Cardano does break this, okay, if Cardano does break the previous high weekly close, I would like to see Cardano come back down and hold these moving averages as support and bounce off of those. I would not like to see Cardano break these because we haven't done it in this entire run yet so far since we broke back above it back in April of 2020. All right, the other thing I do want to notice is, you guys, like I said, this price structure here is very similar to the price structure that we had here before Cardano had its last run. Now, do I expect the same type of gains that Cardano had after this first run? No, but let's zoom in and actually take a look at the couple of the different similarities. So obviously going into it, right, we had sort of our first peak here for Cardano. Let me actually get an ellipse here. So we had our first peak here for Cardano, right? Our first peak right there. And the same thing here. We came back up and obviously had our first peak for Cardano there, right? And then after that, what did we do? Well, we came up and actually made obviously our high, right? We came up and made our high, obviously same thing up here. What did we continue to do after that? Well, you can see here, we clearly came back down to test our 20 and 30 SMAs as support, which we did, right? We came back down and tested these as support and continued up. Same thing that we did in this current price structure, right? We came back down, held our 20 and 30 week as support, and have now bounced. Now, this is where it starts to get interesting here, guys. Bear with me here. And I don't mean bear with me. It's not the pun that we're talking about here. What did we do after that? Well, let's clear out this chart a little bit here. Well, after that, you can see here, we got back above our previous highs on the bounce, right? We broke our previous highs and held them as support, all right? What are we doing right now? Well, we broke our previous highs, came back down, and as of right now, right, a lot can change here, but as of right now, we are holding those levels as support. So what did we do last time? Well, last time we had approximately 6 candles until we moved up. We're currently on you could say 1, 2, 3 candle number 4. So could we just go sideways here for a week or two, right? Wait for Bitcoin to make its next decisive move and then continue up. I think that would be the most logical thing, and that would be comparable to what we did in the beginning part of this bull run. Like I said, guys, I'm not expecting the same amount of gains here about a 900% gain for Cardano on this second leg up, right? I'm not about making price predictions on this channel. I'm about just showing the macro structure and what I'm sort of seeing in the charts. Now, we talked about the bullish and bearish scenarios. Another thing that's very, very similar is the RSI as far as these two levels here. You can see when we did came back up here, what we did is when we came back down on that correction, we bounced off about the 49 level on the RSI. Same thing that we did on this correction here, right? When we had that dip, we came back down and tested that 49 level on the RSI almost exactly perfectly. Then what did we do? We bounced back up and came back down and bounced off the 63 level on the RSI. What are we doing right now? You can't make this stuff up. We pumped up, we're coming back down, and we're right at that 63 level on the RSI. So what this is telling me is, as long as we hold this general level in price action, right, we can be very, very volatile intra-week, but as long as the weekly closes stay in this general range here, it is looking very similar to those price levels, right? So that's the bullish and bearish scenario. Like we said, if we get a weekly close below the previous highs, I'm expecting a test of the weekly bands, which currently sit at 157 and 176 right now is the bearish scenario for Cardano here on the weekly. Switching over to the Cardano Bitcoin pair, I still like the structure of this as well. You can see it's just a stair step. What I like to say is stair step to heaven here. You can see here, we had our high here. What did we do right here? We pumped, came back down to test that high. Then what did we do again? We pumped, right? And then what did we do? We came back down to test the previous high. What did we do now? We pumped, we came back down to test the previous high. So, if history was to repeat, right, maybe we come back up and we test our next level of resistance, which seems up here at about 0.0006. Now, that would obviously mean that crypto has to stay bullish here. If Bitcoin does take a dip or does continue down lower into the, lower 40Ks and 30Ks, obviously this will probably drop, because as we know, when Bitcoin drops, the altcoins tend to drop harder. So if Bitcoin does drop from here on out, obviously we would expect this to drop as Bitcoin leads against Cardano. If Bitcoin continues up, right, or holds steady, I'm expecting Cardano to catch up against Bitcoin. That's sort of what I'm looking at here. And we could potentially, if that does happen, we could see a potential gain of 30% against Bitcoin to the upside. Or conversely, if we break the support, we could see about a 34% loss against Bitcoin here on the Cardano Bitcoin pair. So the structure's still intact. We're still just testing our previous supports, our previous resistances as support on the Cardano Bitcoin pair. Now, what could point us and maybe a clue of what direction we could be going in here for not just Cardano, but for altcoins in general? Well, the Bitcoin dominance. We know we've been holding this 41% on the dominance, but what's very interesting today is obviously we have to close, but it might be that first close that we get below the 41% on the dominance, right? So you can see how this is very, very indicative of, Bitcoin had its run against alts yesterday, obviously, with the big crash. Obviously that was a perfect level for Bitcoin to bounce off of. If we break this level, that could lead to some altcoin gains, and obviously would probably mean that Bitcoin bounces as well if we come back down to that 39% on the dominance, just like we did actually at the beginning of this year. It's always looking very, very similar. If we did come back down to that 39% on the dominance, which would mean that crypto would be bullish for the next couple days. If we bounce here again, I'm expecting probably means that Bitcoin continues a little bit lower here. So that's kind of the outlook I'm looking at for Cardano and sort of the Bitcoin dominance. But so far, we're fine right now, guys. As long as we hold this high, everything's good on the weekly. It's all about the weekly close coming up on Sunday. All right, so if you guys enjoyed the video, make sure you hit that like button, hit that subscribe button if you're new, and I'll catch you guys in the live stream coming up tonight at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Peace out, guys.